What is up, everybody? Andy from WagerTalk.com. Thank you for joining in for another edition of Life in the Fast Lane. We will recap the Canadian Grand Prix, and then we'll look forward to this weekend's race in Nashville. It's a NASCAR race. Formula One's taking a break, but we'll be back next week. Had a pretty good, decent week in gambling. We lost a first practice play, which of course hit in second practice. Then 3-2 in the race. Easy winner on Verstappen. That race was just never really in doubt, even though we had the late caution. So we're still over 61% in racing bets in 2022. Oh man, if I could end the year over 60% racing, it would really, really be special. So let's just take a look at the Canadian Grand Prix real quick. Verstappen gets the jump pretty easily off the start. Alonso, who had a good qualifying run, but let's be honest, the rain in practice 3 and qualifying had everything to do with that. So Alonso falls back. We have several cautions throughout the race that throws off the strategy of some of the teams. Sergio Perez, I thought he was going to make a run at a podium. He was coming back from way back in the field after a bad qualifying run. I thought he was going to get near the front, but he loses pressure. His car has to be retired. Bummer for the Red Bull team. And then Leclerc, after making the turbo and engine change, he makes his way to the front. But I got to be honest, we had that late caution that bunched the field together. It made this race a lot closer than it really should have been if you were watching. You know, Verstappen was running away with it. And Leclerc, I don't think he gets into the top 6. Definitely doesn't get in the top 5 without that caution. But sometimes you need a little luck, and Ferrari got it there as Sainz is able to make a little bit of run at Verstappen. But even with DRS, he never had a good look to pass Max. And Leclerc ends up with a top 5 finish. I think they got to be pretty happy with that, all things considered. Sebastian Vettel tried to go with a really different pit strategy, comes in really early, tries to make the hard tires work till the very end. I'm not sure if the late caution hurt or helped him, but his tires fall off and he ends up dropping out of the top 10, finishes 12th. I think the cautions really threw off his strategy because I thought he had a car that was better than a 12th place finish. Just the tire strategy didn't work out. The Mercedes, a lot of talk about the Mercedes. They look good. They finished 3rd and 4th. Hamilton finishes ahead of Russell, which is such a bummer. I think it hasn't happened since the first race of the year, I believe, and I had a bet on that at incredible money. But kudos to Lewis Hamilton getting podium. I still don't think they're ready to compete with Red Bull and Ferrari. Again, Perez drops out. Leclerc makes it up to 5th. They made improvements, but I'm not ready to bet on Mercedes to finish ahead of Red Bull and Ferrari. I don't know if they're going to be able to compete, but they definitely have upped the quality of the cars. Maybe those new rules on the porpoising had something to do with it, but it was a really good day for them. And then Esteban Ocon had a good race as well, and so did the Alfa Romeos. It was nice to see Valtteri Bottas finish top 10 again. That was a bet we were cashing for a while. It was a little skittish this week because he hadn't looked great in practice and qualifying, but he got the job done. Let's talk about the Ricky Stenhouse Award. This is an award for the biggest error, goofiest thing we saw over the weekend. We got a couple of nominees pre-race. Charles Leclerc has a crack in one of his side pods. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Who knows how much that car is worth? So they just put some clear packing tape over it. They were calling it speed tape. It was just this clear tape. It's like, oh, that's how they're going to hold the car together with a piece of tape. McLaren, they try to pit both Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris at the same time. The pit crew is not ready for Norris, so he just has to sit there while they scramble around and try to find his tires. His brakes are just melting because they're so hot. He's just sitting there chilling. The crew is not ready at all, which blows my mind. I don't know how these teams are not ready for these cautions when they try and bring in both cars. It seems like most of these teams are caught off guard, and I don't know how it happens. So Lando Norris really gets screwed over. It looked like a fire drill there. And then Yuki Tsunoda comes out of the pits and just drives straight into the wall. I've never seen anything like that. Something had to have broke on his car. I didn't quite get the full story. I looked it up, couldn't find anything, but that's got to be the win of this week. I've never seen anything like it. He comes out of the pits and he doesn't turn. He just kind of slowly drives right into the wall right in front of him. So then, of course, his day is over. So congratulations, Yuki Tsunoda. You did not win the race, but you did win the Stenhouse Award. Okay, let's talk NASCAR. We're going to Nashville, and this is going to be only the second time that these guys have raced there. They raced last year. I believe it was the first time in 37 years that they raced there. So we only have one race to look at for track history, and it was in the older car. So I'm not really sure how much we can take away. It's a 1.3 mile track. It's concrete. It's banked most of the way. I believe tire wear could be a real issue here. We've seen in NASCAR that some of these tracks just do not go well with some of these tires that haven't been tested properly. And look at last year, 11 cautions. Last year, 11 cautions at this track. And those were in the old cars where the testing should have been better and they should have had a lot more information. So this could be a caution filled race. When that prop comes out, I'm definitely going to be looking at the over if the books give us a good enough line on cautions. And I'm not sure how much passing we're going to be able to see. So what we've seen with these new cars, the tracks outside of the cookie cutters have been tough to pass on. We saw not much passing in the road courses, and some of these intermediate tracks like Richmond and Martin. I'm trying to think. Richmond was the one that really came to mind. They just can't get the speed off of the corners and down the stretch to make these passes. So I don't know how much passing we're going to see. As far as handicapping, I guess it's close enough to the 1.5 mile size. So I guess we're going to look at that. But I'm really going to think that restarts and pit stops are going to be the best chance for guys to move up through the field. So don't be surprised if you see some very wonky pit stop strategies, some different ones, guys trying to take two tires if they can't move through the field. And then restarts could be very chaotic, as if you got a chance on a restart to move up 4 or 5 spots in one restart or one lap, you're going to have to really, really push it and go for it if we can't pass on green flags. So, as far as handicapping, I took the average finishes this year at Charlotte, Kansas, Darlington, and Dover. So we get a couple of cookie cutters. We get Dover, we get Darlington. That's pretty close in size. We got concrete tracks in there. So here's your top 5. Christopher Bell is 1. Ricky Stenhouse is 2. The second best average finish at those fours is Ricky Stenhouse, followed by Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin. So obviously the Stenhouse one sticks out, but maybe he's a great daily fantasy play. Maybe he's a seasonal fantasy play. If you play in one of those leagues like I do, he could be really inexpensive. So take a look at Bell, Stenhouse, Harvick, Busch, and Hamlin. Those are your top 5 at Charlotte, Kansas, Darlington, and Dover, the averages. And that leads me into my free bet. I had one free bet I thought I was going to play, but just looking over the numbers, they didn't make any sense. So I'm going to go right back to Christopher Bell to finish inside the top 10. Look at the top 5 that I just listed before: Bell, Stenhouse, Harvick, Busch, and Hamlin. 3 out of the top 5 best finishes there are Joe Gibbs' car. And I got to go with Christopher Bell. He's only minus 150 on DraftKings to finish inside the top 10. Shop around. You might get a better price. But last week on the road course, he had a terrible race. But before that, he was an absolute top 10 machine, finishing top 10, I believe, in 5 out of his last 5 ovals, he's finished inside the top 10. So I believe Gibbs is the best team right now at this point in the season. So I'm getting a guy on the best team. I'm getting a guy that has finished great on ovals, and he's a little bit under the radar. You're going to get him at a much better price than some of the other big name guys like Kyle Larson. I'm not trusting that guy on an oval. He's made mistakes. So I love the combination of getting a guy on the best team with a guy with the track record. Pun intended there, on the ovals. So best bet, take a look at Christopher Bell inside the top 10. We're doing great. We're over 60%, but we're also running hot in all kinds of other sports. So the best thing I can recommend right now is we did a promo code today, and that's good for the next few days. Promo code is WIN50, WIN50. That gets you 50% off of a 30-day pass. The reason I bring that up is we're running hot across all sports, not just racing. So when we're hitting a hot streak, lock in a month. We got Wimbledon coming up. We're number 1 in tennis. We're on a 6-0 UFC streak, 17-6 in MLB. And we also have a 5% racing play that is for a little bit later on. So you're going to get all of those plays, including all the 5% plays, if you just use the promo code WIN50. WIN50 for 50% off a 30-day pass for myself at WagerTalk.com. So next week should be a lot of fun. We're going to be racing in Great Britain at Silverstone for Formula One. We'll have a NASCAR race as well. Good luck. Let's have a great NASCAR race. All the plays can be found at WagerTalk.com. Let's have a great weekend. We'll see you next week on Life in the Fast Lane.